1 2 1 2 1 2. Greetings, bonjour, what's happening? This is Lager Time, the not quite live edition. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just a quick little explanation once I turn the reverb off. So this is the first time I'm going to do this, which is I'm going to bang through a set of poems, a couple stories, and a couple of songs on the loop station. All right. Large up Niall O'Sullivan, Rusty Niall on the Substack for giving me the inspiration to do it. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't imagine it will be any longer than an hour, possibly shorter. First time I've done it. It's a bit of an experiment, like this whole thing is anyway. I've got a couple of Stellas ready to go. I think we should just crack on. I'll do the first tune on the looper. All right, let's have it.
It's Lager Time! Yay!
Lager Time. Poems, stories and thoughts. By me, Paul Cree. Who else? Yeah. Alright. Intro. I'm in the music already. Alright, let's go. Sat through that first lockdown, trying to keep my career going. Making fire, rubbing stones, no lighter fuel, just me blowing. Patience, frustration, boiling outside and beef for the neighbours every day. Yet another grief and another project cancellation. Making P was hard enough, now poison waters in the stream. Gutting out my industry, gold rush towards live stream. Zoom gigs with latency, Wi-Fi's unreliable. While everyone's banging out Netflix, my focus on survival. Kept a routine with discipline, got fit, learned new things, but my head was floating like a balloon towards a wall full of drawing pins. Mad moments of doubt, kicking in, had to kick it out and keep kicking on. Outside it was kicking off, pent up people out of jobs, anaphylaxis and a high full of bees. Gave up on nightly news briefs, untold conspiracy theories, unsure now what to believe. Meanwhile I'm trying to get pay my bills and keep it all going. But I'm pissing in the wind, whichever way it's blowing. Bored, round the house and indoors. Another week of new law. A broken record and thought, how long we doing this for? I'm going mental, so go and boil the kettle. Sitting down, settle, could be worse than what you whinging for. Bored, round the house and indoors. Another week of new law. A broken record and thought, how long we doing this for? I'm going mental, so go and boil the kettle. Sitting down, settle, could be worse than what you whinging for. A mate of my dad's once told me that where there's war, there's money. There ain't a war but in the Amazon. There's a working poor, there were 0 hours. And packing parcels, driving vans. Competition now barely stands. High street, never no go. Betting shops and payday loans. Saturdays, school holidays. Bop to town back then with your mates. Good times, but what the kids do now? Men can't even leave their house. Encourage you grass and the neighbours. All built on the local fields. Felt like a dystopian film, but this one was real. I'm going out my window, wondering where the world goes. Mug of tea in my hand from mum and dad, don't know my wife clothes. Could be worse, I guess. Roof in my head, wardrobe for the clothes. Say a little prayer and look to the air. Could do a little dosage of hope. Text Conrad, he said we got to keep going. He's right by hook or by crook. I'm sat in this room with the beat when it's open, minute by minute, day by day, week by week. We set little tasks in 10 years' time. We get through this. I sit in my wife and a razor glass board. Round the house, I'm indoors. Another week, a new law. I broke a record and thought, how long we doing this for? I'm going mental, so go and boil the kettle and sit down, settle. Could be worse than what you've been through for. Bored, round the house, I'm indoors. Another week, a new law. I broke a record and thought, how long we doing this for? I'm going mental, so go and boil the kettle and sit down, settle. Could be worse than what you whinging for. Round the house, I'm gonna thought, how long we doing this for? Yo. The focus, the hocus, the home without the locus. The hipper, the shitter, the quitter, the hopeless, the circle, the third rule, the third way, the homeschool, the reason, the treason, the meaning, the Merkel, the oyster, the troika, the loiterer, the literate, inquisitive, the figurative, the literative, the minimalist, the activist, the hypocrite, the critical, the judge, the jury, the fury, the rage, the pain, the numbness, the vein, the vacuum, the vortex, the gore-tex, the armor, the drama, the shame, the kid that wanted the same, the kid with the kit and the tick and the kicks and the parent that always complained, multiple trips in a plane, replica prints in a frame, original thought like a fork on a pea, crushed on the weight of the game, the resentment that is resident so attendant to the name, the contestants lack an evidence to the sentence will remain, the contestants set a precedent and then the president will get a say, the judgment will be permanent at the sunset of the day, send him on his way, make sure we get the right pay, shine light on the shade, c'est la vie, touche, the focus, the hocus is hopeless, good day, the fortress, the thoughtless, the thoughtful, the lame. Reflector sunglasses that barely shield the sun. I'm an ill-equipped archaeologist trying to excavate the truth. I'm a twice-a-year Catholic stealing lead from the church roof. I'm downloading on dial-up dances with walls plus deleted scenes. I'm everything and anything I would never want to be. You're a narcissistic stick insect trying to convince itself he's fat. Unite, read by spinning globe light, believing the earth is flat. Your sailing shoes are brand new and have never seen the sea. You're anything and everything I would never want to be. They're globe-trotting eco-travellers who drive the car to the shops. They're avant-garde fine diners sipping Monster and Panda Pops. They're conscious political activists who vote if it's on TV. They're everything and anything I would never want to be. We're all bedroom cleaners shoving everything under the bed. We're all wagging fingers at noisy neighbours leaving mess. We're all buying books that sit unread but looking pretty. We're everything and anything that we probably choose to be. Nylon to Experian. I lack gears, credit card in arrears, withdrawing cash to pay rent like a feedback loop in my ears. Spank money on beers, sun holidays with peers, booze, burgers, no birds, and sunburnt to the point of tears. Siblings set the standard and I couldn't hit the marker. Instead tagged walls in permanent marker, thinking I was some kind of martyr, cue laughter. Got lapped along the school running track by top set high flyers. Sort of kids that listened in class and didn't use Lynx cans to light fires, or swap jazz mags in the C-block piss pots, or bunk off in goffs, or thief sweeties from the shop. Well, Rolly did, but we'll let him off. Got mates that put graft in, did what they had to, but now they're laughing. Got gas with flash barbecues in the garden, grand design sites that don't ignite, it's all magnets or something, no jargon, cup a ton, mate, bargain. Still clearing my path. Pulling up nettles and cutting grass, removing glass, trying to lay roots and cultivate plants. Could sit on my arse, sink lager and laugh. Did plenty of that, mate. But that's not the only half. Away from that, I took time to develop a craft. Some didn't get what I was doing, sat in my room pursuing same beat on repeat, going through paper like a shredder machine, reams and reams, lines and paragraphs. A lot of it rubbish. But every now and again I'd hit on something that shook my heart. Electro-shocked this car into a jump start and it felt good, like life could. A little lift in between the routine of work, eat, sleep that sees light pollute stars. Because when the days are dark, you've overcooked the overdraft, frozen the credit card, just air in the fridge, and the only thing eating is the job feeding on your charms. And when it pays, the ends don't meet, so the meter's lacking charge. I'm finding that extra give to leave is a leap to a bridge too far. When that's all you've got thus far, mate, it's hard. One more from this bit. Help self. Eat well, sleep well, wank less. Exercise, pray to God, pray to your God, pray to their gods. Don't have one, get one. Say thank you, take notice. Minor miracles, major miracles, mundane moments, praise biscuits. Reflect, analyze and think. Imagine atoms and atomic energy. Laugh at yourself. No, really, laugh at yourself. You're probably a knob. The inner prick lives within. Keep the prick contained. See above. Celebrate what unites us. Be wary of what divides us and ideologues disguised as saints. Duck xenophobes and globalists. Clothesline the lunch queue. Politicians come and go. Remember what got us here and who really owns the house and who's renting. Manners cost nothing. Leave the manner and take a risk. Remember the manner when you're sitting pretty sipping caramel lattes in heaven. Commit to doing things. Don't let me down. Talk to your feelings like you know them. Even that prick that lives within. Pricks have feelings too. Contradict yourself. Tie yourself in knots. Twist and turn. Work out how you got there and don't fucking do it again. All right, there you go. So that's a little intro vibes. Okay. Well, it's all a bit of a rush, wasn't it? Okay, so that first song is called Whichever Way It's Blowing, and it's the first track off this new EP that's coming out hopefully next month called Toasting the Machine. Now, I did that song on a loop station. As you could hear, it's probably a bit messy and all over the place. It's a bit different to the original version, only because I'm unable to replicate the synthesizer and the notes that I use in the original song with my voice, and it winds up sort of changing the tone of the song. And a little bit like Iron Brew. Someone told me once they were trying to make Coca-Cola and they accidentally made Iron Brew, and I sort of accidentally remixed that song. So it's called Whichever Way It's Blowing. A few thoughts on COVID. So yeah, you can't really see what I'm doing, but it's all, I have a microphone plugged into the loop station, which allows me to do this and do this. I've got a few little fancy effects on it. Oh, there you go. Turn that off. But yeah, so that's that, Whichever Way It's Blowing. And then I just banged through a few rhymey, sort of short, rhythmical style poems. I think as going forward, maybe that's a good way to start sets off nice and energetic, and then I can slip in to the other stuff, which is a bit slower. So most of these pieces, the poems certainly, will have been on the Lager Time Substack at some point. So maybe if you listen regularly, you might recognize a couple. Maybe you're listening for the first time and you're wondering what on earth is going on. I'm kind of wondering the same thing, to be fair. But listen, I started the Lager Time podcast maybe, I think it was October last year, 2021. I'll be honest, I've been a bit lost last few years. So I've been writing and performing poems, theatre, bit of music, for a fair few years now. Well, I started MCing over 20 years ago. That's kind of where it all started for me. And I started going to the open mic for poems in 2007. It was where I met Niall O'Sullivan at Poetry Unplugged. And then I kind of got into theatre. But I always kind of kept the three things separate, particularly the music, particularly the rapping. I didn't think people would get it. And then, I was working on a show where I met my good pal Conrad Murray, who together we set up theatre company called Beats and Elements, which is like a hip hop theatre company. But he's like steeped in it, in sort of bringing hip hop into theatre. That's always been his thing. He's a theatre director, but he's a producer, he's a singer, he's a rapper. He's also the artistic director of Beatbox Academy. So at the moment he's mad busy going around all over the place running projects. But it was him that convinced me. He's like, you got to bring the rapping onto the stage. And I was like, wow, people ain't going to get it. But just through working with him, really. And then I could beatbox, and he got me into Beatbox Academy. I used to play the drums. So beatboxing was like a natural kind of progression, really. He brought me into Beatbox Academy, and then we set up Beats and Elements. And kind of he encouraged me to bring rapping and then get on the loop station. And it's only really in the last couple of years I've started bringing that in. But before lockdown, I was beginning to feel lost. I didn't really know where I was anymore in terms of whatever that means. I think with the spoken word stuff, whatever you want to call it, poetry, performance poetry, storytelling, it's kind of all the same thing to me. It's a fast-moving world, I suppose, due to its accessible nature. Which is a good thing. Anyone can pick up a piece of paper or jot something down on their phone, and all you need is a voice to project that. And there's plenty of open mics where you can get up and do that. So I think there's a high turnover of people, and if you duck away from it for a while, there's a load of new people in it who, for someone like me, they're not going to know who I am, and why should they? You know what I mean? So, the kind of gigs dried up, and then you have COVID and everything that happened after COVID. And then my wife and I, we moved away out of London to Kent, even though I'm seem to be in London all the time. Don't know, the gigs just dried up. But I love performing. I think is what I'm best at. I like doing it. I'm not very good at hustling or whatever, scouting for gigs. So I just figured during lockdown, I need to start doing my own thing. I could produce music a little bit. I've kind of dabbled with production for about 10 years. And I figure I had a few bits of equipment. I can get better at doing it and start producing my own stuff. And it's been a long journey. It's taken me a long time to get here. I'm just ad hoc with everything. Drives my wife around the bend, drives me around the bend. It just takes me a long time to sort of do anything. But I don't know, I'm kind of waffling now. Let's get into a couple more poems, all right? This one's called Born Slippy. Must have been around 97. Aside from the names of a few of the big hitters, can't say I knew much about politics. The whole game seemed like a coded language that only a select few slick elitists understood. Though I was curious and frustrated that they did and I didn't. We were sat in assembly, and for once it was a little different. It was announced that some sixth formers were going to be representing each of the major political parties and giving speeches. We then had to vote for who our favourite was. Democracy in action. It was exciting. I don't recall politics ever again being mentioned. I remember the guy representing the Labour Party. He went last, and I'm pretty sure was head boy at the time. Good looking, popular, high street clubber, and a sheen of cool that filled me with annoyance and envy. He confidently stepped up to the podium to the opening few bars of Born Slippy by Underworld, all drenched in reverb and hands in the air festival unity. He spoke for a good while. Yet aside from a few side swipes at the other speakers, I don't remember anything of what he said. Policies, promises, nothing. He won by a landslide. Of course he did. Born Slippy, mate. Big tune. Alright, here's another one. Weak walking shoes. Back then, I didn't know many people into outdoor pursuits. Certainly not outside Icon Diva, Crawley's premier late night go-to in 01, gone 2 a.m. with a curbside view, scuffles on the pavement, arguments in the kebab queue. Couple times I put on a pair of clumpy walking shoes, zipped up the ugly fleece and attempted to scale the moral high ground, preaching to my mates below that fighting was an immature thing to do. Now I'm at an age where, keep it down, yeah, but I might actually enjoy walking. And I might possibly have considered purchasing a pair of ugly ass walking shoes because they're waterproof and comfy. And listen, that kid my mate's mate slapped that time probably deserved it. Mouthed off unprovoked, squared up, probably shirtless. And when push came to shove, I was probably deserting, knowing deep down I lacked the right gear for that sort of pursuit. Wrong sort of shoes. So I ascended hilly peaks and preached my views, convinced I was on higher ground, like a champagne socialist, one windfall away from a super yacht cruise. Alright, maybe one more from this little bit. This is called Not Quite a Cheetah. Was out on the common. Just got back from a run and I was stretching. Whilst in the downward dog position, enjoying the unorthodox view of this pleasant part of Plumstead. From between my legs to see this upside down bull terrier bursting across the green, to obediently fetch a tennis ball and return it to a stern-voiced lady wearing a pristine pair of pink Huaraches. She then threw the ball further and the dog ran again. I abandoned my stretching just to take this moment in and stood there for a few minutes, watching it run back and forth. The way that dog moved was mesmerizing, so low to the ground, fast, powerful, precise, and a little bit scary. It reminded me of watching Newsround when I was a nipper, as bizarre-looking motors attempted to break the land speed record in the desert, clouds of dust in their wake, camera picture flickering as if the lens was burning from the heat. I'm as much into cars as I am into dogs, but that bull terrier display was a Grand Prix worthy of my attention, maybe as close as I'll ever get to stretching on the Serengeti, watching cheetahs make magic with their legs. All right, there you go. So there's a few little slightly longer ones there. So I wrote that last one during lockdown, probably at the early stages, because at some point my wife turned around and said to me, what do you think about getting a dog? And maybe this is even before lockdown. And I said, I don't know. It's a lot of responsibility and I'd probably have to walk it all the time. And we left it at that. She then asked me again a couple months later, what do you think about getting a dog? I was like, well, the same thing. It's a lot of responsibility. I don't know if I'm ready for that. And I'd have to walk it all the time. And then a couple months later, she said, I've bought a dog. And it's a lot of responsibility. And I have to walk it all the time. And he's currently in the room, lying on the floor, asleep. He may make some noise at some point. Odin, he's a miniature schnauzer. I love him to bits. And then maybe about 8 months ago, my wife says, I want to get a second dog. And I was like, really? And then you can guess what happened next. I don't know where she is at the moment. She's in the house somewhere, but little Freya, another little miniature schnauzer. But they are great, and we love them dearly. It was Odin's second birthday yesterday. Big up, Odin. Happy birthday, mate. He's got no interest in me right now. I've fed him, I've walked him. He's good. All right? Okay, so I hope you haven't switched off yet, if you are listening. I'm going to bang through a couple of little shorter ones now, then do probably another track on the loop station, and then finish with a slightly longer piece. One of the story pieces. How are we doing? Where are we at the time? I don't even know how long this is so far. Okay, I think we're okay. But here we go. Here's a couple of little shorter ones. Independence Day. After days and days of sweltering, sweaty London sun, there's a big, bleak-looking rain cloud resting over Plumstead, like those massive alien ships sitting above famous landmarks in big global cities, reminding me of how excited I was when I first saw the hyper-cool trailer for Independence Day, age 13. Hopefully this cloud won't let me down as much as that film did. Paper trail. Meanwhile, at internet headquarters, a proud-looking man walks into reception. I'm here for my file, he says. The receptionist spins around to a grey filing cabinet and retrieves a green folder. Handing it to the man, he looks at it, pauses, then walks away, disappointed. Jazzlock, day 187, guilty conscience. If all them famous writers and poets had the internet too, would they have got half their shit done? What happened to drum and bass? No thanks. Depleted. Was at the printer trying to run off the company required weekly schedules when the error message told me the coloured ink was depleted. No passive-aggressive email had been received chastising us for printing off the company-required schedules, complete with colour coding like a delicate Dulux paint chart with slogans, dates and numbers, wasting the precious finite company resources. No, not this week. The company had decided to celebrate Pride by covering the corridors in rainbow flags and getting John from accounts to tell us all about his civil ceremony during the morning briefing, just after he'd arrived late, having had his train cancelled, numerous delays, that, and he doesn't like public speaking. We still got an email a week later, as no one had stuck their schedules up on the department notice boards. It was company policy, they said. Of course. Stress piece. Sometimes I feel my flaws, like driving through a muddy festival field. Carry negativity like I'm trying to feign holding in a piss. Do what the shiny gurus say. Buy the book and breathe deep. Attend the workshop and listen soft. Fail in all of the above. Then frighten my mind like my brain was wrapped in electrified chicken wire. Pray that the temperature drops. It normally does. Until next time. Life affirming moments, part 1. A young man of 19 is rummaging through his wallet, looking for his gym pass. In amongst the receipts, chewing gum wrappers and train tickets, he finds a date-expired, unused rubber, curry flavour. He'd bought it from a vending machine on his 16th birthday. He holds it. He can feel it's gone dry and crusty. He's still wearing too much links, and the hair gel is still slooping off his head in wet weather. V-plates are still very much intact, along with his optimism. Never give up, he thinks. Right, so there's a little short section there. It's kind of fun doing it this way. So what I used to do when I was performing fairly regularly, I guess a standard set was anything between like 15 to 25 minutes. I loved the 25-minute sets for me, I suppose, because I used to perform a lot of stuff that was longer, kind of like longer stories. A lot of them were sort of like 10 minutes long. So I would try and structure the set. So I would start off with something short, maybe funny, and then maybe get into something a little bit deeper, then a couple of little shorty, funny to haiku type things, finish with a big long one and a really short one to finish. And it was a nice way I don't know, it worked. And I had a whole bunch of material that I could interchange and swap in and out. And I guess it as a formula for a set, for me, it worked. And I had this book which came out in 2018, The Suburban. It was my first and only collection, which comprised 10 years of stuff that I'd been performing. So it was really good. When that came out, I had loads of gigs and managed to sell a few. Still got a few left over, paulcree.co.uk/shop. But all of that stuff, once I'd done the book and done all the shows, I was like, I need to draw a line under this stuff, which is what I've tried to do. And then COVID, of course, stopped all the gigs, really. So all of this stuff is like after that period. It's like, I don't know, phase 3, if you like. Something like that, anyway. So I'm just sort of back to messing around, trying to put a set together again. And so this is the first attempt at doing that. Let me know how you think it's going. Obviously, if I did get a gig, I doubt anyone would be giving me this long. But as an idea, I don't know, start off with a bit of music, maybe something quick, snappy. I don't know. I always think it's important to get in quick and ingratiate yourself to an audience, whether that's by making them laugh, or something that you can ease them in, and then you can bring in the deeper stuff a bit later. Whatever that means, deep. I don't know. Deep is a funny word. Everything's deep. Everything's shallow. Whatever. Okay. All right. Let's do a bit of music, shall we? All right. So this is a tune. Yeah, this is a song called Never Enough. It's fairly new. Yeah, I need to delete that. Fairly new. I'm hoping, I've got all this music backed up. I've got an EP that I mentioned, Toast in the Machine, and then there's probably another 2 EPs of stuff after that. And then I've always wanted to do an album for the last few years. I think I want to do an album by the time I'm 40. So I'm starting to build some songs for what I hope will be an album to my 40th. But knowing me, it probably won't be done till I'm 44. But yeah, so this is just came out of a little jam on the loop station. I've got to remember how this tune goes. I gave it a little practice earlier. Hold on, just bear with me 1 second. I know this is really unprofessional, but this is an experiment anyway. Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Never Enough. Hold on. It's all gone skew with. Right, basically, this is what happens when... yeah, right, so I've got to reset the looper. It's all gone tits up. Right, I've made a vow that everything is being left in. Hold on. Okay. I don't want the fucking filter. So basically, the problem is with these loop stations, right? You have to. The first thing you do, it sets off how long the loop is, and I'm using the same track that I did for the first track, and it's a certain length. So yeah, and so the problem with that was, the loop wasn't long enough. So I was trying to do that little bass line part, and it was looping too early. Oh no, this is already boring, isn't it? Imagine this is on stage. Alright, I think we're good. Come on, Paul, fucking hell. Here we go. Alright. lust over love, always half done, like a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered the rust, always running for the bus, it was ever dust. Ain't never enough, I lust over love, always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, it covered the rust, always running for the bus, it was ever dust. Ain't never enough, I lust over love, always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered the rust, always running for the bus, it was ever dust. Ain't never enough, I lust over love, always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered the rust, always running for the bus, it was ever dust. We swimming in the shallow end, yet again with the deep end, yet again with the pretense. Doggy paddle, make a splash, take a rest then. Spectate with the rosy lens. Nullify, fight a flight from within. No need to explore the content inside the tin. The brand is on point like the man with the grin at the podium, not noticing the money backing him. And put the hoover around, do the washing up. At the family bash, make sure you smile enough. Pay the bills on time, make sure you earn enough. And when you get mugged off, you say it's all love. But is it alright, or is it half-mast? Flying a half-mast, the marking death though. You're treading water in your best and iron best clothes. Island paradise in your sights with your eyes closed. Cause it's never enough, lust over love. Always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered the rust. Always running for the bus, it was ever dust. Ain't never enough, lust over love. Always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered the rust. Always running for the bus, it was ever dust. Little beer break. More floors than Canary Wharf. Closed doors in my own thoughts. And so sure in my overdraws. Straight path full of detours. Met my match with a slap in the face. So obsessed with back in the day. Failed to make the grade with a pitiful display. Sit and watch the rain and pretend it's okay. Can't be bulging with that I'm holding. Extra swing on my shoulders from when I'm bowling. The mechanism for coping is slowly stalling. Revealing a picture that's bitter and probably broken. Pity my missus for having to put up with everything. I can't even put up a shelf of credit just to bread it. I reckon I'm heading for some kind of bigger reckoning. And maybe only then I'll be ready for everything. Cause it's never enough. Lust over love. Always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered in rust. Always running for the bus, it was ever dust. Ain't never enough. Lust over love. Always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered in rust. Always running for the bus, it was ever dust. Ain't never enough. Lust over love. Always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered in rust. Always running for the bus, it was ever dust. Ain't never enough. Lust over love. Always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered in rust. Always running for the bus, it was ever dust. Ain't never enough. Lust over love. Always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered in rust. Always running for the bus, it was ever dust. Ain't never enough. Lust over love. Always half done, paint a picture with the dust. Brand new screw, covered in rust. Always running for the bus, it was ever dust. All right, there you go. Never enough, and yeah, that was a bit of a mess. Sorry about that. You know, I've been practicing it last couple of days, but I'm still not quite sure. But there you go. I should probably delete it out really, but I'm not going to. If you've got this far, you're still listening, thank you very much. I suppose part of the reason for me doing this is so I can put a set together again, so you can kind of view it as this is all a work in progress. Not that I'm making excuses. And what is a bit for those that the tiny amount of people that I know who know me for doing the poetry stuff, I'm always a little bit wary about what they think when I'm doing the music stuff and rapping. I think, well, what's Paul doing? What's he doing? Whatever, innit? I don't know. I'm just trying to make the best of what I got. All right, so I think we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna finish with one story. It's not that long actually. It's part of this show that I'm developing called Make Your Own Bed and Hope for the Best. So I've been sharing various parts of that show on the blog, also on my YouTube channel. I've been developing it for about 3 years. I'm at the stage where it's ready to go into production. But I'm at the funding stage, and I had a meeting a few weeks ago. Funding just really sucks the life out of me. I'm so averse to doing it. I don't want to do it. It's like, and now at the moment the landscape for Arts Council funding is even harder than it was, and it should be difficult because it's public money. Don't have an issue with that, but I don't know. Anyway, I've got to try and get funding, and hopefully it'll be made. And we're looking at next year at Camden People's Theatre, where I've done a few works in progresses. So this particular story, so the show, a little bit of context, is exploring a whole bunch of different jobs that I've done. I left school, I dropped out of education at 17. I've had a lot of jobs, most of them low paid. So anyway, it's like exploring meaning and employment and what that all means. So anyway, this is a story I had a paper round when I was 12, and then the newsagent that I worked for, they ended up employing me in the newsagent as a Saturday assistant. So this one's called Smiths. We'll wrap it up on this. Thank you for listening. Social media, Paul Crees on Instagram and Twitter, and Paul Cree Writes on Facebook, and I think that's what it is on YouTube as well. There's a bunch of stuff on there. My website, I've got copies of the Suburban for sale. The Beats and Elements, we got 2 books that came out this year. Making Hip Hop Theatre, which is written by my good pal Conrad Murray and Dr. Katie Bestwick, a theatre academic. That's the kind of theory behind the hip hop theatre stuff we do. And then, of course, there was 3 plays published alongside that: High Rise, A State of Mind, No Milk for the Foxes, and Denmark's, 2 of which I co-wrote with Conrad and Junior, David Bonnet Jr., aka Gambit Ace, and Lakeisha Lynch Stevens, aka Kiki, who we formed Beats and Elements. So it was those 3 plays were published in a book called a Hip Hop Theatre Anthology, or Hip Hop Theatre Trilogy. I can't remember, but it's that you can get that through Bloomsbury, Methuen and Drama. It's available on Amazon and all the big book retailers. But yeah, support the stuff. Large Up, Niall O'Sullivan, Rusty Nile on the Substack. Large Up, James Harris, Stiff Upper Quip on the Substack. These are guys that I follow, that I've known through performing, and I followed them onto Substack, and they've given me bits of advice and just like what they do. Large Up, Ruckus T. He's probably not listening. He says he does, but I know he doesn't. If he is listening, nice one, mate. If not, you're a prick. But I call him a prick anyway. Large Up, my brother Will, Gatekeeper. All my family, my beautiful wife Janice, who definitely does not listen. Though she's quite good at mimicking the Lager Time theme tune. Maybe one day I'll explain what that is. Hold tight, Boogaloo D. All right, so here we go, Smiths. And then we'll wrap it up at this. School, I tolerated it. I like seeing my mates, but I don't think I had the required focus for it. I fidgeted a lot, looked out the window. From about year 9, I found myself drifting, figuratively and literally, to the back of the class. I just didn't get a lot of it. Maths, science, French. It hurt my brain. I preferred a good old daydream, like I did on my paper round, but difference with that was there was no one there to tell me off. One day after school, I get this call from Mr. Smith. He tells me that my brother Will's mate Mark has since left Smith's to tread that golden path to the golden arches of McDonald's in Gatwick South Terminal, meaning the coveted role of Saturday assistant was vacant. Sound the trumpets, and did I want the job? Me, the anointed one, £2.50 an hour, 5 hours a week, plus my Sunday paper round. That's like more money. Yes, Mr. Smith, I'll take it. So through a blatant case of only employing underage, underpaid internal candidates, I was now a shop assistant, 14 years old and balling out of control. It sounded sick. Until there's a queue going out the door. I'm on my own in the shop, busting for a piss. And most of them want lottery tickets, and the machine is temperamental at best. The tickets keep getting stuck, and oh no, I've shortchanged someone. Again, nice try, son. He thinks I did it on purpose. I get confused when adding up prices. Mr. Smith, he's like a maths genius, does it all in his head and just dishes out the change like a casual fist bump with his mates. I have to punch it all in the clunky old till where half the time the buttons don't work and I seem to mess it up. Next, I'm a blindfolded donkey trying to pin the tail on whatever brand of obscure cigarettes these customers want. Peter Stuyvesant? No. Next row to the left, a bit, down a bit. Some rude boy comes in, all curtains, Bauer turbos and a spliffy jacket, wanting fags. He looks about 15. Sorry, mate, have you got any ID? What? Have you got any ID, bruv? I'm still only 14 and Mr. Smith tells me to say I'm 16 if anyone asks, especially if that guy from the council comes in again. The lottery tickets are still getting stuck. Someone else now thinks I've tried to swizz them for change, and some girl who I thought was smiling at me has just walked out with Spliffy Jacket Kid eating a load of picking mix which she hasn't paid for and just looked at me again laughing. Then it all goes quiet. Just when I think I can finally slip off for a piss, on cue, that creepy guy walks in. Same time every week. Side parting and glasses. 80s sports jacket and cream trousers with the press. Picks up his 3 broadsheets. Has a quick glance left and right. And then like a lizard catching a fly. Leaps up to the top shelf and selects 3 jazz mags. Slops them between the broadsheets. Brings them to the counter. Lifts up the corner of the paper bar so I can only see the prices. But I can tell by the branding that this week it's Mayfair on top. Last week it was Club International. I don't know how I know, but I just do. I look at him and he looks at me and I know that he knows that I know. He pays up, he slips out and I feel weird. I feel a bit repulsed by him, but at the same time kind of sorry for him. I want to look at the jazz mags too. Mr. Smith arrives to lock up the shop. I get a crumpled £5 note of my wages, plus coins. I take a piss at last and head home, knackered. Just in time to leave for church. I like that feeling of money in my pocket every week, but I felt like I was no good at that job, and I dreaded going back in every day, Saturdays, like I dreaded going into school, knowing I found both so difficult. And if this is what working life is like, I'm not alright with that. Alright, I think that concludes everything. Odin has just woken up, the dog. He's just done a big yawn. I'm guessing this has probably run its course now. It's been good. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. It's probably been a bit rushed, very rough. If you, like I say, if you are listening, thank you very much. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, please subscribe and share. Oh, look, there's the little one. Here she comes. Hello, Freya. Please don't rip up my poems. She's done that before. All right, so that's it. Nice one. I'll be back to normal lager time. I've got a new piece to share this Friday, and maybe I'll do another one of these in a couple of weeks. Have a banging rest of the week. Peas and taters.
It's lager time. Yay!
Lager Time. Poems, stories and thoughts. By me, Paul Cree. Who else?